international scale while praising the awarded provinces.
Japan's ambassador to Thailand, Nishida Kazuya, has paid a courtesy call to Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Wisnu on the occasion of his assumption of duties in the kingdom. The ambassador said successful COVID-19 management in Thailand has been widely accepted by the international community, including Japan, describing stringent health safety measures as key factors in boosting investor confidence in the kingdom. In response, Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Wisnu said he was delighted to see interest and confidence from the Japanese private sector concerning their investments in Thailand, adding that the Thai government will be giving careful consideration to facilitating economic activities without compromising disease control measures currently in place. The two sides also discussed plans for a Thailand-Japan special arrangement allowing business people and experts from both nations to travel interchangeably for more convenient short-term visits. Dr. Wisnu promised to inform Japan regarding updates on this agreement soon.
And those were our national stories.
Business news.
In business news, an international journalism investigation has reported that massive sums of allegedly dirty money have flown for years through some of the world's largest banking institutions. According to the probe from BuzzFeed News and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, or ICIJ, profits from deadly drug wars, fortunes embezzled from developing countries, and hard-earned savings stolen in a Ponzi scheme were all allowed to flow into and out of these financial institutions, despite warnings from the bank's own employees. The investigation, which was led by 108 international media outlets from 88 different countries, is based on thousands of suspicious activity reports submitted to the U.S. Treasury Department's Financial Law Enforcement Agency, FinCEN, by banks from around the world. BuzzFeed News wrote in the introduction of its report that these documents, compiled by banks shared with the government but kept from public view, expose the hollowness of banking safeguards and the ease with which criminals have exploited them. The documents relate to $2 trillion in transactions that circulated between 1999 and 2017. The investigation points in particular to 5 major banks: J.P. Morgan Chase, HSBC, Standard Chartered, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of New York Mellon, accused of continuing to move assets of alleged criminals, even after being prosecuted or convicted for financial misconduct.
Lufthansa has said it will slash more jobs on top of 22,000 previously announced cuts and put more planes out of service, with current losses running at some 500 million euros or $590 million a month. With demand set to be lower than expected through winter as the coronavirus pandemic continues to severely curtail travel, the airline said it now plans to reduce its fleet by 150 planes by 2025. It had previously estimated that it would have to scrap 100 aircraft in response to the unprecedented crisis in the aviation sector. Lufthansa, which received a government bailout worth 9 billion euros in June, said it would have to book 1.1 billion in impairment over its fleet decision. The group did not give a figure for further job cuts, but said it would engage in talks with labor representatives to limit the number of necessary redundancies. Managers will also be hit with 1 in 5 management positions to go in the first quarter of 2021. A resurgence in infections across Europe meant that after a brief uptick in demand over the summer months, Lufthansa's previous assumption that demand could reach half of last year's no longer seemed realistic. Germany is also planning new rules from October requiring travelers arriving from risk zones to go into quarantine for at least 5 days before taking a test. 6 A380s had already been taken out of service earlier this year.
The Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, has approved a 2.8 billion baht budget for the Power Development Fund, aimed at supporting the government in strengthening the economy while dealing with drought and the effects of the COVID-19 crisis. ERC Secretary General Komkrit Tantrawanit said the fund will be used to support community-proposed projects in order to boost the local economy. He added that these projects must meet the needs of local communities, focus on creating jobs, and improve the people's quality of life. He also explained that applicants must be juristic persons, such as community enterprises, social enterprises, cooperatives, and foundations. Additionally, the Commission is planning to improve the scope of spending and regroup the projects into clear categories. It will also work on decentralizing authority to speed up the approval of projects in the future.
The Energy Policy and Planning Office, or EPO, has resolved to maintain the current retail price of LPG, or liquefied petroleum gas, for another 3 months, deeming the move necessary in order to help members of the public weather an ailing economy amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The announcement was made by EPO Director Watanapong Kurowan, who confirmed that the prices of a 15-kilogram LPG tank will remain at 318 baht until at least the end of this year. Additionally, the director said the board has already instructed the Energy Regulatory Commission to find solutions to help people shoulder the economic burden, particularly regarding electric bills. He also said the Office of Energy Regulatory Commission is working on the details of the campaign, which will take into consideration the current economic situation. Furthermore, EPO and the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand will stockpile electric power and draft a streamlined plan to better manage plants in order to save on power generation costs.